Renaissance, the story of change. The Renaissance is a big change that happened in Europe. You know that there are many countries in Europe. They have good roads, electricity, food, and water. The people are well educated and use a lot of technology. But all this is in the recent times. Europe was not always like this. There was a time when Europe was quite backward. Many of the people were very poor. They had to work for the few rich people. The rich people were the nobles and lords. They lived in palaces and had huge farms and lots of money. The poor people had to obey the rich people. They were not allowed to complain. Most of the poor people couldn't read or write. There was no radio or television at that time. So, these people hardly knew what was going on around them. They just had to accept what the rich people told them. The priests were the leaders of the people. They told the people what to do, how to think, how to behave. People had to listen to whatever rules were put down by the church. If the priests decided not to let the people know of something that was happening in the world, then the people would not know about it. Priests were not the only important people though. There were also very rich people like nobles and lords and even kings who were quite important. This time, when Europe was not so developed, is known as the Dark Ages. But slowly, things started changing. People discovered the arts like painting, theatre, dance, etc. They slowly started becoming aware and they started thinking. They realized that they should think carefully and then accept things only if they thought it was right. It was almost like they were born again. This is known as the Renaissance. It was like their brains were asleep and finally they had woken up and started thinking again. The Renaissance started in Italy and then spread around Europe. Italy juts out into the Mediterranean Sea. Most merchants crossing from one part of the world to the other would therefore stop by Italy. So, there were a lot of ideas from the rest of the world coming here. How do you find out what has happened in the past and what is going on in the world? You watch the news, read stuff on the internet. You even read magazines, newspapers, and books. At that time, the people didn't even have books. There were no machines to print books. Every book had to be written by hand. So, there weren't too many copies of the books. The books were also very expensive and it was not so easy to get a book. The books that were there were written in Greek and Latin. These languages were not spoken by the common people. As most of the people did not understand the languages, no one actually read the books. Then a German named Gutenberg invented the printing press. The technology spread very fast. Books were printed and sent across Europe. There were books in many languages that the people could understand. Books were written and printed on many different subjects. People then began to read and started finding out stuff all by themselves. It was really amazing. As people read, discussed, and exchanged ideas, their understanding, knowledge, and thinking capacity increased. Due to this, there were discoveries in many fields like medicine, chemistry, physics, and other things. Science and technology developed greatly, and this period saw many new inventions as well.